The body responds when it no longer receives what once sustained it. There's a quiet truth that few dare to face after turning 60. When you stop masturbating, an act that seems small and deeply personal, your body begins to change, and not in ways you might hope. Not because it craves pleasure, but because it craves circulation, vitality, and connection to itself. Just as muscles atrophy without movement, or joints stiffen when no longer used, the pelvic region, with its complex web of nerves, blood vessels, soft tissue, and reproductive glands, begins to fall asleep when you no longer awaken it through self-touch. For men, the first thing affected is blood circulation. Without regular stimulation, blood flow to the genital area decreases significantly. This can lead to numbness, reduced sensitivity, or even mild pain during erections. Over time, the internal tissue of the penis begins to lose elasticity, a condition known as atrophy. What was once a source of physical pride can start to feel foreign and distant, leaving many men quietly losing confidence in their own bodies. In some cases, difficulty maintaining erections isn't due to lack of desire, but because the body has simply forgotten how to respond. For women, completely abandoning genital stimulation can lead to vaginal dryness, tissue thinning, inflammation, and discomfort during urination or movement. Slowly, the sense of being in one's own body begins to fade. Many women report feeling like spectators to their physical form, caring for it as a duty rather than living in it as a trusted companion. What matters is this: these changes are not destiny, they are the result of forgetting yourself. And they happen faster than most realize. Just a few months without any intimate self-contact, and the body starts to send whispers: mild aching in the lower abdomen, a coolness in the lower back, weakened urination, or light loss of control when coughing or laughing. So what's the answer? It's not about forcing desire, it's about gently reawakening yourself to being alive. Masturbating once or twice a week isn't about indulging lust. It's about keeping blood flowing, tissues supple, and your reproductive system doing what it was designed to do: function. You don't stop brushing your teeth just because you're aging, so why would you stop caring for a part of your body that's equally essential? This isn't about performance or proving you're still capable. It's about presence, about choosing in the quiet moments of your life to stay connected, to keep your body alive, not just in motion, but in sensation, not just in form, but in feeling. Because when you stop touching yourself, you're not just losing pleasure, you're slowly letting go of a relationship with your own body. And that relationship deserves to be kept sacred, especially in the final chapters of your life. When older adults stop masturbating, what they lose isn't just physical sensation, it's a quiet, intimate connection with their own bodies, one that once brought warmth, grounding, and a sense of belonging. Many believe that with age, desire naturally fades, that it's simply part of the process. But the truth is, emotions don't age with gray hair. The feeling of being alive in a body that can still sense, even if only through a gentle touch, remains a vital part of being human. As a man or woman enters their 62nd, 72nd, or even 82nd, they're not only facing wrinkles, illness, or the stillness of an empty room, they're confronting a deeper, unspoken question: does this body still belong to me? And too often, the answer quietly slips into silence. Choosing to stop masturbating not because one can't, but because one assumes it's time to let go, creates a subtle yet profound disconnection. The feeling of self-love, the right to pleasure, the simple act of honoring one's emotional and sensual needs, these are deeply tied to self-respect and human dignity. And when they fade, something precious is lost. Many begin to forget what their body feels like. They forget the shape of their skin under their own hands. They forget the quiet exhale that follows a soft touch, and from that forgetting, they lose not just desire, but the spark of being fully, richly alive in their own skin. They drift away from the quiet beauty they once knew so well. Worse still, when we stop touching ourselves with care, we make space for darker emotions to settle in shame, invisibility, the haunting belief that we are no longer needed, no longer wanted. But that emptiness doesn't come from a lack of someone else's hand. It comes from forgetting to reach out to ourselves. In this light, masturbation is no longer a sexual act. It becomes an act of healing, a small, courageous declaration. I am still here, in this body. I still deserve to feel, to love, to be fulfilled by me, for me. In a noisy world, some of the most powerful things happen in silence. A tender touch, a long breath, a fleeting moment in which a person feels, without question, that they are still themselves whole, worthy, and profoundly human. There's a part of the male body that often goes unnoticed until it causes trouble. The prostate. Small but essential, this gland sits at the heart of male sexual function, urinary health, and overall daily comfort. Once you cross into your 62nd and 72nd, neglecting the prostate is no longer a harmless oversight. What few people say openly is this: going long periods without ejaculation, including stopping masturbation, can quietly and gradually harm this vital area. According to urologists, regular ejaculation, whether through sex or masturbation, serves an important biological purpose. It helps flush out accumulated fluid within the prostate, stimulates healthy blood flow, and prevents the buildup that can lead to inflammation. When you no longer touch yourself, when you disconnect from this natural need, your prostate stops receiving that gentle cleansing mechanism. Over time, fluid begins to stagnate, leading to a condition known as prostate congestion. This can cause discomfort, pressure in the pelvic floor, and increase the risk of chronic inflammation. Another common consequence is benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, the age-related enlargement of the prostate. While it's non-cancerous, its effects on quality of life can be frustrating. Difficulty urinating, frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom, a weak stream, or the sensation of never fully emptying the bladder. These symptoms don't just disturb your sleep, they can alter your mood, affect your confidence, and take a daily toll. Many men turn to medications or even surgery without realizing that one underlying issue may be that the body is no longer being regularly released in a healthy, natural way. This doesn't mean you need to pressure yourself into frequent sex or treat masturbation like a task to perform. Rather, it's about recognizing that gentle, mindful masturbation done in comfort, with respect for your body, is a powerful, natural form of preventive care. It helps maintain the prostate's function, reduces the likelihood of avoidable dysfunctions, and gives you a quiet sense of agency over your aging process. Don't wait until your body speaks in the language of pain or persistent discomfort to pay attention. Begin now by seeing masturbation not as something shameful or secretive, but as a proactive, human act of health and self-care. Because you deserve to live in a body that feels healthy, at ease, and safe even into your 72nd, 82nd, and beyond. There's something few people expect, that a simple act like masturbation, when done mindfully and regularly in later life, can directly impact the nervous system, brain chemistry, and overall quality of life. No prescriptions, no doctor visits, no approval needed, just you, a little private time, and your own inner permission. When you touch yourself with presence and respect, your brain responds as if it's receiving a dose of a natural tranquilizer, one that's non-addictive, free of side effects, and doesn't come from any pharmacy. Specifically, when you reach orgasm, your body releases a cocktail of hormones and neurotransmitters: dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and prolactin. Each of these plays a unique role in helping older adults feel alive, emotionally grounded, and physically at ease. Dopamine is the motivation hormone. It fuels curiosity, energy, and that simple spark to get out of bed in the morning. Without it, life feels dull, uninspired, as though nothing holds meaning. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, calms the nervous system, reduces feelings of isolation, and creates a sense of connection even if you're alone. Endorphins are the body's natural painkillers, easing chronic discomfort, bringing moments of pleasure, and lifting overall mood. And prolactin, released after orgasm, helps regulate sleep, supports cellular repair, and invites the body into deep recovery. When you stop sexual stimulation altogether, including masturbation, this hormonal symphony begins to quiet. Gradually, sleep becomes more elusive. Anxiety creeps in, emotions go flat, joy becomes harder to access. This internal imbalance unfolds silently, but its effects are unmistakable. Sleepless nights, irritability, unexplained sadness, and even memory lapses. Masturbation isn't just about pleasure. It's a way of communicating with your brain, a message that you are still alive, still sensing, still worthy of care. It is no longer about lust. It becomes about inner balance, a kind of body-centered meditation. And the most beautiful part is this: just one small act, repeated with gratitude and attention, can help you stabilize your mood, sleep more deeply, lower anxiety, and keep your mind clearer, lighter, and more peaceful with each passing day. In old age, when children have grown, a partner may have passed or drifted away, and hugs that were once frequent now feel rare. There is a quiet but essential need that is often overlooked: touch. Not the passionate, urgent touch of youth, but the gentle, warm, and deeply human kind. Sometimes it's as simple as placing a loving hand on your own body, being fully present with yourself. Many older adults slowly lose connection with their own bodies. They get dressed, take showers, swallow pills mechanically, without really feeling their physical presence. The body becomes something to maintain, rather than a sacred home to cherish. Yet, mindful self-touch, especially through gentle, conscious masturbation, can become a powerful, quiet way to restore intimacy with the self. Not everyone needs another person to feel loved. Love begins from within, from your own hands, soothing dry skin, from those silent moments where you sit, breathe, and listen to your heartbeat. Self-touch can be a meditative act, not about chasing pleasure, but about feeling life pulsing within. When you touch yourself with respect and awareness, you're telling your body, "I am still here. I have not disappeared. I still deserve to feel." For many older adults, mindful masturbation is not just about desire, it's about reclaiming visibility in a world that too often stops seeing them. When society looks past you, when family is busy, when the face in the mirror no longer looks familiar, touching yourself is a way of saying, "I still matter." You may not be young, but you are still whole. You don't need someone else to confirm that you are alive. You can do that with your own hands, your own breath, your own quiet presence. The truth is, touch is never outdated, and the need to feel doesn't retire when you do. Your body, changed as it may be, still deserves care. And if the world outside forgets you, your hands can still remember. Remember that you have worth. Remember that you deserve tenderness. Remember that connection doesn't only come from others, it begins in the palms of your own hands. Intimacy doesn't end when partnerships do. At some point in life, the relationships we once cherished may fade, shift, or come to an end. A partner may pass away due to illness, age, or the quiet accumulation of distance over time. The closeness that once felt so familiar, a midnight touch, a knowing glance, a hand gently held in silence, becomes a memory. And many begin to believe that when those relationships end, intimacy must end too. But the truth is, intimacy doesn't have to die with a chapter. It doesn't vanish just because a partnership has. Intimacy is not reserved for couples or confined to romance. It begins within. It's how you regard your own body, not with criticism, but with tenderness. It's when you allow yourself to feel, not to prove anything, but simply to remind yourself that you are still alive, still capable of loving, still worthy of being touched. Masturbation intimacy with oneself is not a poor substitute for a partner. It is a self-contained act of emotional independence. It is a quiet affirmation that closeness doesn't need to come from someone else. In the stillness of old age, self-touch can be the gentlest way to whisper to the soul, I am still here. I still matter. I still deserve to feel. For those living alone by circumstance or by choice, nurturing intimacy with oneself doesn't just preserve emotional connection, it becomes a powerful way to stay grounded and mentally balanced. When you learn to listen to yourself, to care for your body with compassion, you are keeping the flame of feeling alive even when the world around you has gone quiet. There is nothing wrong with finding comfort in your own presence. There is no shame in continuing to seek joy, release, and connection through your private moments. In fact, it's one of the most dignified, powerful, and profoundly human acts you can offer yourself. Because in the end, life isn't measured by how many people are around you, but by your capacity to still feel, still soften, still hold yourself with care. So if someday you wonder whether intimacy is still possible when no one else is there, remember this. True intimacy begins with you, and you've never left your side. Letting go of shame, the greatest gift you can give yourself after 60. In another time, in another generation, many older adults today grew up surrounded by hushed, heavy messages about sexuality. Masturbation, a natural biological act, often rooted in curiosity and self-connection, was labeled with words like sinful, dirty, or shameful. Schools stayed silent. Families avoided the topic. Religious institutions issued warnings. And over time, these judgments didn't just stay in the culture around us, they seeped into the private corners of our minds. Countless men and women in their 62nd, 72nd, and beyond still feel awkward, ashamed, even guilty when they think about touching themselves. Whether they live alone or have lost a partner, whether they're seeking emotional warmth or simply a sense of calm for sleep, they often carry their desires in silence. They don't speak up for fear of being laughed at. They don't share for fear that someone will say, "At your age, really?" But here's the truth. You have nothing to be ashamed of. No one is born with guilt in their blood. That shame was taught by culture, by silence, by generations afraid to talk about the body. And because it was planted, you have every right to uproot it. Ask yourself, what truly makes you feel guilty about masturbation? Is it because someone once told you it was wrong? Because you believe old age should be dry, restrained, disconnected? Whatever the source, the time has come to set it down. Masturbation is not a disgrace. It is an act of love. It is your body saying, I am still here. I can still feel. I still deserve to be cared for. It doesn't mean you're lonely or lacking. It doesn't make you strange. It's a healthy way to reconnect with yourself, to restore your emotional balance, to stay in touch with the rhythm of being alive. You've lived a lifetime. You've raised children, supported loved ones, carried your dignity through the hardest of years. Now, in this tender chapter, when your body calls for comfort, you are allowed to reach for yourself. You are allowed to listen, to soothe, to heal, without permission from anyone but your own heart. Letting go of shame isn't about chasing pleasure. It's about reclaiming your full humanity. And in that quiet, sacred space, you just might rediscover a version of yourself that is softer, deeper, and more whole than ever before. And then something beautiful begins to shift when you no longer see masturbation as a primal urge or a hidden act, but as a form of comprehensive self-care. You stop treating your body like an aging machine in need of repairs and start honoring it as a sacred home worthy of being cleaned, lit, and loved. Think back to the last time you truly felt affection for your own skin, not in the mirror, not while shaving or applying lotion, but in a moment when your hand rested gently on your body and whispered, "I'm still here. I still live inside this body." When done with mindfulness, masturbation becomes a kind of meditation, a space where each breath, each touch becomes a quiet blessing to yourself. At this stage of life, comfort matters. There's no need to strain into awkward, demanding positions. A soft pillow for your back, a cozy armchair, or simply lying gently on your side can transform the experience into something easy on your heart, spine, and joints. Remember, you're not racing against time anymore. Every moment you offer yourself is an act of healing. Music, too, can be your companion. Try soft instrumentals or the gentle rhythm of nature, rainfall, ocean waves, or Indian wind chimes. These sounds soothe the nervous system and help you let go of performance pressure. Because real pleasure doesn't come from a mechanical reflex, it comes from being fully present in the moment. Sadly, many older adults have unconsciously turned their bodies into strangers, something they avoid touching, avoid seeing, avoid acknowledging. They track their blood pressure, take their heart meds, manage their diabetes, but often ignore their sexual health. Not because it doesn't matter, but because they've been told it shouldn't matter anymore. That's one of the greatest lies ever whispered into aging ears. Sexuality, even without a partner, remains an essential part of life. Not to prove you're young, but to remember you're still alive. Every time you touch yourself with tenderness, you're saying, "I haven't forgotten you. I know you've changed. I know you've been tired, but I'm staying." Some fear that maintaining this habit will make them addicted or disconnected from reality. But the truth is the opposite. When approached with care, regular self-pleasure helps regulate hormones, improve sleep, boost circulation, support heart health, and ease anxiety and depression. It doesn't make you dependent, it brings you back into balance. And if there's still a quiet hesitation inside you, ask yourself honestly, am I doing this out of love or out of guilt? If the answer is love, keep going. If the answer is guilt, begin with forgiveness. Forgive yourself for ever believing you were dirty, wrong, or undeserving of this feeling. Masturbation is not the enemy of morality. Ignorance and unconscious judgment are. Those are what have hurt generations of older adults, those who carried loneliness in their hearts, tension in their bodies, and the belief that they had expired. But the truth is, age doesn't erase desire, it simply transforms how you express it. If you're a woman, perhaps you've gone through menopause and thought your softness had ended. But please, don't believe that. You free from fertility, free from societal expectations, may now be more ready than ever to experience intimacy fully, gently, on your own terms. Your body has never been outdated, it just speaks a new language now: softness, patience, and non-judgment. And if you're a man, don't let the fact that you no longer have the erections you once did bring you shame. Shift your definition of sexuality from proving to feeling. Even without climax, you can still experience transcendence through breath, through heartbeat, through the waves of emotion that rise within. And if you once had a spouse, but now find yourself alone, remember this: you don't need someone else to feel love. Sexuality doesn't have to mean intercourse. It can come from you, for you, and only because you deserve it. One of the most powerful gifts of aging is the right to choose again, to choose what truly matters, to shed the beliefs that no longer serve you, and to love yourself in an entirely new way. And if you choose to use your private moments to care for, heal, and reawaken your body, then what you're doing is not simply masturbation. It is tactile meditation, healing through tenderness, and a sacred act of someone who still believes they are worthy of being touched. So begin today, not to go back to how it was, but to go forward with love. Place your hand gently on yourself, as if greeting an old friend who's weathered many storms, and say, "I'm still here, and I will never abandon you again." Final words, the most personal act of self-care. There comes a time in life when everything quiets down: the pace, the noise, the expectations, and in that stillness, we are left with ourselves, our stories, our scars, our wisdom, and our bodies, which have carried us through it all. As we grow older, many parts of life shift, and we're told implicitly or explicitly that some things no longer belong to us. That pleasure fades. That intimacy is for the young, that our bodies, once vibrant and craved, are now to be tucked away in modesty or silence. But that is not the truth. The truth is, you are still here, and your body is still listening. Masturbation, at this stage of life, is not about lust or performance. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about presence. It's about reclaiming a quiet, sacred ritual that says, "I am alive. I still feel. I still belong to myself." To touch yourself with kindness, to create space for sensation and softness, to feel without shame, that is not weakness. That is strength. That is dignity. That is self-respect in its most intimate form. For many, this journey requires unlearning decades of shame. Cultural scripts that said, "This is dirty," religious messages that warned, "This is wrong," or personal doubts that whispered, "Not at your age." But the older you get, the more power you gain to write your own story, to say, "I will not carry shame that was never mine to begin with. I will not live in a body I'm afraid to feel. I will not apologize for being human." This is about more than sexuality. It's about connection with your health, your emotions, your spirit. It's about sleeping better at night because your hormones are balanced. It's about reducing loneliness without needing anyone else in the room. It's about choosing to be tender to yourself when the world forgets to be. And most of all, it's about honoring the truth that your worth didn't expire with time, that the mirror may show wrinkles and change, but it still reflects someone worthy of love, pleasure, and peace. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone else to say, "It's okay." The door to self-intimacy has always been there. And when you walk through it, you don't just find touch. You find presence, wholeness, and quiet power. You find yourself. Your journey isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning again, but deeper, wiser, and freer. May each act of self-care, no matter how small, be a reminder: you are not fading, you are unfolding. And every time you choose to listen to your body with compassion, you are choosing to live not just longer, but better. You're not just surviving, you're still becoming.